Educator Podcast, your place for personalized professional learning to go. Join me as I discuss educational topics that empower educators to take control and ownership of their own professional learning. I'm your host, Mel Vandevort. Happy Wednesday, everyone. As I was listening to Educational Duct Tape last week, Jake talked about giving himself grace. He is suspending the EDU Duct Tape Twitter chat for at least the rest of this school year. When I started this podcast, I had planned to have an episode recorded and out every week on Friday. But I started this podcast while working on a doctorate degree. I have homework and a dissertation, plus other life stuff. So I'm going to record and publish when I can. Hopefully, in a couple of months, when I no longer have homework, I can get on a solid release schedule. Thank you for your understanding, and thank you all for listening as well. I appreciate each of you, and please leave a review on your favorite listening platform and give me some feedback. Also, feel free to leave me some feedback on social media. My Twitter handle is @MelVandevort, and you can find the Empowered Educator page on Facebook. So how about a quote of the day? I found this quote by Dennis Waitley, and it says, "Time is an equal opportunity employer. Each human being has exactly the same number of hours and minutes every day. Rich people can't buy more hours, scientists can't invent new minutes, and you can't save time to spend it on another day. Even so, time is amazingly fair and forgiving. No matter how much time you've wasted in the past, you still have an entire tomorrow." And again, that's Dennis Waitley. Equity is a very important topic right now. Equity of time, it's a given. It's what we do with that time that creates disparities among us. Make the most of every day you're given. That doesn't mean only in your professional life. God doesn't want us to only work and never enjoy other things. He doesn't want us to work and never have time for our loved ones. If we only concern ourselves with work and never enjoy other things, then we burn out quickly. So friends, find some time to connect with others that you miss and haven't connected with. Make an ice cream date with your kids. Learn a new hobby. Take a couple of hours and have a family movie night where your phone is on silent because it is not important at that moment. This isn't surface level connection. It's a deep level connection of really being in the moment with someone you love or care about. After you've given yourself some much needed unplugged time, you will be much more efficient in your professional life and avoid getting overwhelmed or possibly burned out. Don't blame others for lack of time. For the most part, you are in control of your day. I am terrible about saying, "I don't have time." I do have time, but I prioritize my time with other things that I deem most important. Right now, the bulk of my time is full of homework for college, this podcast, work, church, and a couple of other side projects, football games for my son, and when I can, downtime with my family. We all have 24 hours and 1,440 minutes each and every day, to be exact. So make the most of the time you're given, personally as well as professionally. And don't forget to add some spontaneity in sometimes too. It keeps life exciting. So let's talk professional learning. Today, I want to visit the topic of sustainable PPL. It keeps going and going. I have recently started doing sublimation printing. There is much more to it than I thought, and it is much different than screen printing, which I started out doing. When I started screen printing, my son was my professional learning guru. He had already been doing it and was very good at it. Sublimation, on the other hand, was foreign to both of us. I had to personalize my learning through YouTube and others who were in the biz. My point is, I was interested in learning something that would be beneficial, and I created a learning plan to get it done. I also have to keep doing research-based learning, not only through what others have posted, but also through my own trial and error. And trust me, with sublimation printing, there have been a lot of errors. I was talking about time earlier. Teachers don't hate professional development. They just hate professional development that wastes time, energy, and resources and returns little in the way of usefulness or sustainability. They may have feelings like, just one more thing on my plate, just one more initiative that will quickly go by the wayside, just one more wasted day that could be better spent in my classroom. It is imperative that we move teachers out of that mindset of useless and wasteful professional development and into the mindset of useful and sustainable personalized professional learning. Remember, we are trying to get away from that traditional method of top-down sit and get and into professional learning that is sustainable by being job embedded, personalized, and reflective. Administration must work to create a culture that embraces ongoing learning. If administration values professional learning as a way to increase teacher effectiveness and not just to fulfill state mandates on hours, then our teachers will value it also. Administrators have to be models of this in their own professional learning journey as well. Creating a culture of ongoing professional learning starts with an open and reflective mind and deep conversations about growth. Evaluations are not about giving teachers a 4 or 5 or a 6 for required documentation. Evaluations are about noting strengths in your teachers first and then helping teachers find areas in which they can grow. I did this all wrong when I first became a principal. I was more worried about doing what I thought I was supposed to do as a rule follower. That meant I would go into a classroom looking for areas that I could, air quote, fix, because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. I was wrong. It was never about me fixing anything. It was about me helping grow my teachers to be the very best they could be by utilizing their strengths to grow each other. I started learning this during MLDS, which is the Missouri Leadership Development System. We learned about it, then we practiced it together, and then on our own in our own building, and then we reflected on it. This was not one-off learning. It was job embedded and sustainable. It is every administrator's job to empower teachers as learners using mixed methods of professional learning that are ongoing and personalized, thus sustainable. When learning is embedded in the regular day, it is ongoing. Giving every teacher the same learning task is no different than giving every student the same learning task. If we expect our teachers to personalize learning for students, then we have to personalize learning for them as well. Teachers are more likely to continue their learning if that learning is something that is personal to them. Administrators must work with their teachers to create a plan that is sustainable by personalizing it to the needs and interests of the teachers. This happens through deep conversations. Most teachers are willing to admit where they need to grow, and if they aren't, then education may not be the place for them. New teachers need something much different than seasoned teachers. Self-contained teachers need something different than content-specific teachers. High school teachers need something much different than elementary teachers. And middle school teachers, you need a totally different kind of learning for dealing with hormonal pre- and early teen students. Middle school teachers, you also need a lot of prayer. I really am just kidding about middle schoolers. They are the most challenging yet rewarding group of young humans that I've ever had the pleasure of teaching. I remember some group professional development in which every teacher of every grade level and every subject was packed into a room, and we all learned the same exact thing in the same exact way. I sat with my friends, and it didn't really matter that we all had different teaching needs. There was the hope and expectation that there was full understanding by all the teachers and that it could be implemented with fidelity because there was no discussion during or reflection after, but more importantly, there was no follow-up from anyone. PPL, dispersed over several sessions, is much more effective than a full-day cram session of information, especially when we group that learning with practice, reflection, and feedback. Teachers, don't be afraid to seek out your own professional learning. YouTube is packed with a lot of tutorials. That's where I learned to knit and play the piano by chord. Not all learning has to be for PD credit hours either. Most webinars and remote learning sessions offer certificates of attendance, but there is a lot of good learning even without credit. I can't always attend a webinar when it's offered anyway, so I usually catch the playback session, which doesn't offer a certificate. For me, it isn't about credit, it's about the learning. Choose something just for the sheer benefit and joy of learning it. Be open to new methods. Get a co-teacher or friend that teaches in another district and learn together. I really like to learn what I can by myself and then get with others when I struggle. This is simply because I process differently than others. I am an all senses engaged learner. I cannot just hear it and then do it. I have to hear it, see it, process it, and practice it, and that's okay. It isn't about everyone learning the same thing in the same way. It's about personalizing based on learning needs. Everyone can make time for professional learning. Don't worry about what seems like wasted professional learning time. All learning is valuable, even if it's just for a little while. Make a plan, make some time, and then execute that plan. Time is a valuable commodity. Don't waste another minute of it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and have a great rest of the week, everyone. Thank you for joining me today on Empowered Educator. All of the information and links from today's podcast will be on my website, empowerededucator.com. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. Remember, professional learning should be sustainable, applicable, active, and targeted. So power up for personalized professional learning to go.